Hey y'all, welcome back to the Protect the Boot podcast here with Grant Sastre and Jason Lejeune of Gridiron Football. Got a huge weekend coming up this weekend, and I'm really excited. It's something I've marked on my calendar for a very long time. Today I'm wearing this Brother Barn football sweatshirt that used to belong to my little brother. I had to spice it a little bit, bring a high school in the fold. We're not covering Brother Martin this weekend, unfortunately, but there's a lot. There's a lot of high school games in the New Orleans area that we're going to cover today, along with the big game in Lafayette, as well as a few big games in North Louisiana as well. I mean, huge weekend, Jace. What do you have to say about this just amazing weekend of fall football?
If you don't like, if you like high school football, it's going to be a good one. I can tell you that much, Grant. And really a lot of great games. And the only thing unfortunate about it is the last week of the regular season. So that's really the only unfortunate thing about it.
Right. And the reason why I said fall football is because the weather's changing. It's a little chilly outside.
We're wearing some jackets.
Yeah, you can see the leaves falling off the trees. It's perfect. It's my favorite time of the year, Jace.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. And that means one thing, too. That means we're getting close to playoff time.
Oh.
So when it gets cool, the leaves change.
Closer? That's next week.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you're as close as you can possibly be to it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But really, it feels like a playoff week this week with the matchups that we're going to break down today. So it's a really good slate. And I'm looking forward to covering and see what's going to unfold and happen.
And you know how this is a stacked weekend? We got 4 big time games on Thursday.
Oh, we do.
4 big time, 4,
Yeah.
and they're all big time big time teams, yada yada yada. So
this is the biggest Thursday week of the whole year.
Oh yeah, because all the last week's usually the biggest Thursday.
Right,
yeah,
right.
And so let's get started with Thursday. And the first big game we have is right here in Baton Rouge, Zachary at Catholic at Memorial Stadium. Catholic has a very talented team. Daniel Beal quarterback, Barry Remo, who's the running back over there. He's the engine that makes that whole offense run.
Does.
Amari Clayton, Brooks Wright are some really good receivers. I think on defense you have the Bradford brothers. Blaine is one of the top prospects in the class of 2026. Colin Coates, who's committed to play in the Gridiron All-American Football Bowl game.
Blair Russo is going to be playing in a bowl game.
Yep.
So, a lot of talent on the Catholic High football team. And I'm excited that I get to see them again. I know I'm a Catholic High alum, but this is actually the only second time I actually got to see these Bears play. Yeah, I have to mention Catholic High, baby.
Oh my God, here we go again. Oh God, see. I knew I should have had this game in the lineup. I knew it. He was gonna say it. I knew it.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. But Catholic has a really good team. Although they did have a disappointing start this season, even though. Obviously they have 2 losses currently on the schedule because of Warren Easton.
Yeah.
They had
and
the
then me and you went to go cover them at
UI High. I mean, they really started the season 1-3.
Yeah.
And and if you want to be honest, there's some murmurs that Daniel Beal's knee was down and for the 2-point conversion of the one game. So really, you could easily say they were 0-4. But that I digress. Catholics really responded very well, and I think this game will determine to see where. Catholic is really at against a really talented Zachary team. And Zachary's offense has come on late. Hudson Spangler at quarterback. He had a huge game against West Monroe. I think that started the whole thing. Then you have Cam Thomas, a running back. He's becoming one of the elite running backs in the state. And then Trey Green, who is the top tight end prospect in the state. He has got basketball athleticism because he is a basketball player.
Oh, yeah.
6'7", 240. He's a big time tight end. So what are you looking forward to most this week on Thursday with the Zachary Catholic matchup?
Yeah, as far as Baton Rouge matchups in the state, you just look at the beginning of the year, and everybody had this circle in their calendar. And like you mentioned, Catholic's done an excellent job in district play. I mean, ever since the St. Thomas More loss, they've really done a great job in bouncing back. But this is going to be their toughest task since St. Thomas More on Friday against Zachary. And really, Zachary's the only undefeated team in the Baton Rouge area, so they're trying to really hold the mark for the Red Stick area. But this is a big game, and last year it really came down to the line of scrimmage. That's where that game came down last year. I was at that game. You were at that game last year. And Catholic won that game on the line of scrimmage. They were able to run the football with Barry Remo. They were able to put pressure on Eli Holstein last year. And that's going to be a formula that could make a difference when you got two talented teams, you got two talented quarterbacks, two talented wide receiver cores, two talented running backs. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down in a game like this, who was better up front in the trenches on both sides of the football. So that is what I'm looking forward to the most between both these two teams.
Speaking of this game, who do you think is going to win this game, Jace?
Well, I mean, if I have to say, everybody's saying, "Oh, Jace is going to go for Catholic." Well, I'm actually going to go with Zachary on this one.
Wow.
So I'm going to go with the Broncos here. I was very impressed with them in the spring, to be honest with you, just because I think Hudson's a good quarterback, and I feel like he's really settled in and won the job and everything. But they got good receivers. I know you mentioned Trey Green, but they got a pretty good crew around him as well. They got some options to throw the ball to, and I just really like their speed on defense. The thing that worries me a little bit about Zachary, if you're going against Catholic, would be I think Catholic has the advantage up front. So that's going to be something to look at. I think Catholic's going to have a lot of success running the football. That's the key. If Catholic controls the line of scrimmage, Catholic's going to win this football game. But if Zachary holds their own, and really, even though Daniel Beal is a Division I quarterback for the Raging Cajuns, I feel like their best chance, Zachary's best chance, is to make Catholic a one-dimensional football team throwing the football. Now, they're balanced and they're having their way. It's going to be tough slowing down the Catholic high offense, but I really like Zachary, and I feel like revenge from last year. They lost to Catholic last year, so I think that's going to play a part of it as well.
You know what? I'm going to go with Catholic, actually. I think I really like how they've been. Now, they really haven't played anybody as of late. Obviously, all their big-time opponents they've lost. Warren Easton, they got smashed at home after that huge win against Picayune in Mississippi, 49-26. Then they lost against U High, and then one of the games of the year we were both there.
That was the best
insane.
Game of the year.
That was probably one of my favorite games I've ever been to. All the U High fans were rushing on the field. That was awesome.
That was crazy.
And then also they had that another tough loss against St. Thomas More. They had 4 really tough games, and one of the main concerns about Catholic I had going into the season was their health. Those are 4 tough games, and I think they've gotten a little healthier. I think going to a big game like this, I think in Memorial Stadium, I think and Daniel Beal is playing very well. He's got a bunch of really good receivers. But the reason why I'm going to pick Catholic is because of what you just said. They're physical up front. They're physical on both the offensive line and the defensive line. And then also, as long as you have Barry Remel, I think Catholic wins this game. If you take out Barry Remel the offense is a completely different offense. If the only way Zachary can win this game is they have to shut down its run game and make Daniel Beal throw the ball. Now, Daniel Beal is going to get some of his yards, but the thing is, Daniel Beal needs Barry Remel. The offense needs Barry Remel to continue getting those carries. That's when they're at their best. And in my opinion, Barry Remel is one of the more underrated running backs in the state. If he was 2 or 3 inches taller, he would be getting a lot more offers. He's that important to that offense. And I'm going to pick Catholic to win 31-28.
Yeah, I know everybody's saying, "Oh, Jason picked Zachary." Well, as just to say, how many people have actually really responded to me being a Catholic High Bear? So of course I got to pick Catholic. So but it's going to be a really good game either way. And like you said, and just the matchup of physicality up front. I know Zachary's got some big guys. Kavion Broussard's offensive tackle for him, but I think last year was really the difference. What was really Achilles' heel for Zachary last year? What bit them last year was the inability to stop the run. It hurt them against Catholic, and it hurt them in the playoffs against Ruston. So, with that being said, I mean, I think Catholic's going to win the football game, and it should be a really good, fun game either way, though.
Yeah, and another big time matchup right here in the Red Stick, we have Parkview at U High. We just mentioned U High a little earlier, with their big win over Catholic, but U High has been one of the more talked about teams in the state of Louisiana. I mean, now they had that one loss against Rummel, which was a shocker. I think that was one of the more shocking upsets this year because how Rummel's kind of been up and down all year, and nobody really expected this really talented UI team to lose to them. But I think that may have changed their whole season. I think it was the best thing that ever happened to them was losing to Rummel because obviously the following week they beat Catholic and they've been rolling. Parkview is a really tough opponent. In my opinion, they're one of the sleepers in the Division III select. No matter where they are in the bracket, I think they're a very talented team and a very scary team. They're led by Abram Johnston, who is a legit, D1 quarterback, like FCS quarterback, even in mid-major. He may even get those mid-majors as the season goes on.
Yeah.
And then also you have Caden Turio, and you have a really talented group of receivers in Brock Como, Shaq Harrington, Brant Melancon, and also a freshman by the name of CJ DeLeon. I remember
Mason Warren plays both ways for him.
Yeah. But CJ DeLeon, I remember him because he was really their best receiver that night in their win, that 52-46 win over Dunham. That was probably, in my opinion, one of the best games of the year.
Yeah, it was.
And also he featured another freshman in Elijah Haven, but then also they're going against a really tough UI defense led by three really good linebackers: Alec Haynes, Keelan Moses, and Harry Beecham. But then you also have one of the top prospects. He's a top 10 prospect for 2026. Lamar Brown, Laramie Guidry. Then you have a really talented group of DBs in Tony Burns and Marcus Dawson.
Yep.
And then also on offense you have Emil Picarella, Seth Gale, Zay Martin, and Granville Anderson. So you're going to see two really good receiving cores, y'all.
Oh yeah.
And but I think the difference in this game will be, I think they're both physical, but I think UI has more depth and they're a little bit bigger than Parkview. I'm going to pick them to win.
Yeah.
I think they're going to win. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think Parkview's going to put up a fight, but I'm going to say it's going to be like 35-28, something along those lines. So what are your overall thoughts about this game? Who do you pick to win? Why? But then also, what do you hope to see out of this game? I know we're not going to be able to go to this game. One of our interns, Sean, will be at that game.
Yeah, Sean.
Giving live in-game live coverage. So what do you hope to see out of this game? Who do you pick to win and why?
Yeah, so with this game, I agree with you, Grant, here as well. I agree with you on Catholic, and I agree with you on U High. Just because I feel like Parkview. Now, when we went to go see Parkview, I was really impressed with them and really the strides they're making. And Abram Johnson's definitely a gem when it comes to the quarterback position, especially this year in the class of 2024. But I'm going to go with U High. I just feel like U High has the more complete team. When you're talking about, you don't really have like a major weakness when you look at that football team. They can run the football when they need to. They can absolutely throw with Emil Picarella. And then defensively, I mean, they're really good at every level of the defense. Defensive line, linebacker, secondary. So with that being said, I think it's going to be a close game throughout, but I think U High pulls away at the end, maybe like a 42-28 type of football game. But I got U High winning this one out.
Yeah, and moving on to our next Thursday game, then we're going straight to New Orleans, East St. John and Holy Cross. We all know that East St. John's dealt with two straight losses, from an upset loss to Terrebonne. And then also they just had a really tough game against Destrehan. It was pretty close, but the Destrehan pulled away to win 23-13. And they're going against a upstart Holy Cross team. Holy Cross themselves had to deal with a two-loss streak, but then they bounced back to a big victory over Jesuit. And although Jesuits is having a down year, they haven't been Jesuit in 5 years, so I think that's a pretty big win for them and the community, and also the seniors who never beat Jesuit. We mentioned that in the last show recently, a couple of days ago. But I think what makes this game pretty special is that you have two really good receiving cores. East St. John is Coyle Gray and Dekai Joseph, who we just recently invited to our All-American game.
Yeah, and just committed to Southeastern last night.
Yep, and he had a big-time announcement last night. Congrats to him and his family. Whenever you get a scholarship to any college, it's a pretty big deal because it may not be a full ride, but it's enough to make it less expensive for your expenses and less student loans. And also, it's a great opportunity for some of these kids who may come from lower income backgrounds. It gives them an opportunity to build generational wealth through education and athletics as well, but most importantly, education. But then also you have Cross Johnson, on the other hand, with Kobe Young. Cross Johnson's another guy we invited. He's also another D1 prospect. And you also have Kobe Young, who's a Georgia Tech commit. I think he's going to be a big-time player when he gets over there. And also two really good they also have a pretty good quarterback in Cole Canatella. So you got two high-powered offenses. So what do you think about this game? And do you think these two offenses are going to frustrate the head coaches? And East St. John's Brandon Brown and Scott Wadney, as we all know, is a very fiery guy.
I mean, the defensive coaches, they're not going to really like this game. I think it's you pick the over here. I think it's going to be a lot of points being scored. Maybe like a 40, 45, 42. Might be that type of football game. I think both, just the skill positions, the receivers. I mean, both teams, like you mentioned, have two of the best wide receiving cores in the state. And with that being said, it's going to be a tough night for the TBs.
Yeah.
But I like Holy Cross. I mean, they really showed me a lot from last week and just this season in general. And I think it's a good way to end the regular season with win number 8 on the season and just go into playoffs with some momentum. So, and I think like we mentioned with East St. John, I think they were really up for that game against Dexter. So when you're usually up and you're playing for a game like that, there's going to be just a little bit of a letdown.
Right.
But I'm going to go with Holy Cross here, and I think it'll just be a good way to wrap up a really special season.
Right. This is the first non-district game of this weekend, actually. It's kind of rare you see these non-district games.
Because the first two games we talked about, those are going to be for district championships.
Oh, yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of unique that you have these non-district matches. It kind of feels like a playoff game. But you know what these games are very important for? Seeding.
Yep.
Right now, Holy Cross is number 3 in the power ratings of Division I. I know that Division I select. I know that doesn't really mean much because obviously the power ratings, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be seeded like that.
Sometimes, if anything, it's about what side of the bracket you're on.
Right, exactly. And then Holy Cross is also trying to fight for a higher seed because right now they said number 11 in Division I non-select. So these games are really important for seeding. Holy Cross trying to get a top 4 seed, and that's pretty big because you get to host the first 2 playoff games, and then also East St. John's trying to avoid having to face somebody like one of the top seeds like Zachary and some of these other big schools in the second round.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Jace. Holy Cross I think is going to win. I think they have the hot hand. I think if their offense keeps rolling, I think they're going to win this game. But their defense needs to step up. They obviously played very big against Jesuit, but Jesuit's offense has been kind of spurting this year. And when they have faced a really good offense like Carr, and even St. Aug, offensive with a lot of talent. To say that they kind of struggled a little bit, and John Curtis also too. They allowed 41 points. So it would be interesting to see how their defense responds to this high-powered East St. John offense.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to our next game, we're going straight back to the New Orleans area, but this time in Jefferson Parish and Marrero. We have Karen Crow, who's coming off a tough loss against Acadiana, going against a Shaw team that is a pretty tough Shaw team. I mean, even though they may be 7-2 and they had a bad, I would say a bad loss at St. Charles. Even though St. Charles Catholic is the 2-time defending state champion, you don't want to get beat by like 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think Hank Tierney has a high expectation for this team, but they've really responded. They've really responded to those that adversity pretty well. Shaw is a very physical and tough team. Their offensive line, defensive line is very tough. Their offensive line is led by Raymond Howard, who is bowed up, man. He's a strong kid.
You're not messing with him.
Right, no, he's a very smart kid. He's an Air Force commit, so he's a pretty serious
They got D1 commits on both sides of the football.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. And then they're led by running, and then you also have two really talented running backs in Jasper Parker and Daryl Haynes. And then the receiver, Gavin Ricard, is a very good receiver. One of the better receivers in the New Orleans area. And then, like you said, on both sides of the ball, Jaden Scott, who's a Tulane commit, Lewis Foss, who's another D1 prospect at cornerback, and then Dallas Bourne, who's been one of the more hotter names out of the New Orleans area because he's just been a ball hawk.
Yeah, he's won one of our Player of the Week nominations a week or two ago. So he's been posting some big numbers.
Oh, yeah, and then obviously Karenko, you heard about Chance Babineau, one of the top sophomores in the country.
Yep.
And the Kashmir Baptiste, who's one of the more underrated backs in the state.
Yeah, he's been offered to play in the bowl game too. So
and then Cam Cyprian, who's a very good player on both sides of the ball as a tight end and defensive end.
Right.
So what do you look to see out of this matchup, Jace? Because these are two very physical teams.
Yeah.
Karen Crow is also a very physical team.
Yeah, I really like Karen Crow, and really we saw him play another physical team in Southside earlier this year, and that showed me a lot. It wasn't like winning that type of game showed me a lot about Karen Crow. I thought because they're going to just be a team that's going to put up 50 points and be a flashy team, but they won that kind of ugly, they were down against Southside. So win that type of game at their own game, at Southside's own game, show me a little something. So it shows you that they have the ability to grind it out if they need to. With that being said, I'm going to go with Karen Crow to win this football game just because of this offense, because of Chance Babineau, Kashmir Baptiste, Cameron Cyprian. I mean, those guys. I mean, I just think they're going to be too much for Shaw to handle.
Yeah, and these are two Hall of Fame coaches on both sides. Tony Corvo is going to be a Hall of Fame coach.
Both state championship winning
right.
coaches.
Hank Tierney is a Hall of Fame. I think he already is in the Hall of Fame because remember I think he is in the Hall of Fame. Maybe I'm not sure, but I know he's the Hall of Fame coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
To produce a lot of talent out of Shaw and Westchef and Ponchatoula, and now he's back at Shaw. Coach Tierney was at Shaw for a very long time. However, Shaw got in trouble with that SSAA, and he didn't feel like that. Shaw kind of they let him go, and even though he didn't have any beef with Shaw, he just felt really sad. Just kind of felt like a lot of what's it called? He felt scorned by Shaw, but he still cheered for him and everything. And then Shaw got some new administration. And, they have a guy over there who's doing a very good job with that school. Their enrollment's gone up. It seems like everything's gone up. And then, you know what? And you know what he did?
The 4A.
They moved down to 4A, which is a very smart move.
Yeah.
And then, you know what they did? They brought back Hank Tierney. And now we're talking about Shaw again. Shaw was down for the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And I hope Hank Tierney's done a great job bringing back to respectability. And you know what? I'm going to pick the upset.
You going to pick
I'm gonna pick the upset. I think Shaw. I think this is the topic. I think Karen Cross will travel 2 hours to Marrero. I think Shaw's playing some really good football as of late. I trust Hank Tierney. Hank Tierney is one of the top coaches in the state for a reason. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame for a reason. He's got a bunch of really talented players. And then also, Karen Cross coming off a very tough loss where they lost in the last minute.
Right.
So that type of game still in the back of your minds. I think Shaw's going to win 24-17. I think it's going to be a very good defensive battle. Your traditional defensive game between Tony Corvo and Hank Tierney. I'm picking the upset. I'm really liking Shaw in this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my pick, but I like the call. I really do, and I would not shock.
And that's gonna be huge for Shaw Senior right now. I think they sit about I think they're like 5 or 6 right now in Division 2, which is a very one of the top half of that Division 2 is insane. So right now they sit at number 6 in the power ratings, and a win like that against a top 4 team in the power ratings of Division 1 Select,
right?
That's a huge boost, and they may jump Turlings and JFK and even Edie White. Which we're going to talk to pretty soon.
That game,
Yeah, it depends on what happens in the next couple of weeks. But moving on to another big time game in New Orleans. This time we're going to the Friday slate. John Curtis at Carr.
A little bit on the line on Friday.
And the thing is, this is not you would think everyone thought this would be the district title game at the end of the year, but unfortunately Curtis lost 2 games against Brummel and Holy Cross back to back. And there's a lot there's a lot of uncertainty about the record. And what I mean by the record is that right now JT Curtis, the head coach of John Curtis, is tied for the national all-times win record with John McKissick from Somerville, South Carolina.
621, I think, is the mark right now.
622.
Yeah. Well,
no.
He's tied 621.
Yeah.
He needs that 620.
Exactly. And, you have a lot of talent on that side. Obviously, you have Michael Turner's LSU commit.
Right.
Marlon Prout.
Yeah.
Jason Gabriel.
Jason
Gabriel, running back, who's committed to Southern.
Yep.
And then Dagan Bruno.
Yeah,
who's a quarterback.
He's
very,
won
very
state last year.
Right, very reliable quarterback. Kind of your stereotypical John Curtis quarterback. Very gritty, very smart with the football. He can run, but he also is very good at throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah.
Curtis' pass plays are big plays.
Yeah.
And he's very good at making those big plays. But then on Carr, they're the number 1 team in my opinion. They're the number 1 team in Division 1, 5A, Division 1 Select. Doesn't matter.
They're the number 1 team as number 1 team in the state.
Yep, exactly. And they, their offense is kind of, at the beginning of the year, they're kind of spread a little bit. Brother Martin got the best of them, and they had some tough time against some of the early opponents in the schedule. But as of late, their offense has really come through. John Johnson is playing some of his best football, throwing the ball. And they also led by Tyron Manchild Francis, the man-child.
When you have a nickname man-child, you're pretty good.
Yeah. So he's recently committed to LSU, not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, in fact.
2025.
I think it was right in the smack in the middle of the LSU.
It happened after the Auburn game.
Yeah, right after,
Yeah, LSU got 2 commits, right after the Auburn win.
Yeah, they did a really good job with their recruits that night, because if you get 2 recruits on game night to commit to you, That's a big win, and they got a big win over Auburn as well. But then you also have Raji Dennis, who's one of the top prospects at New Orleans. Taj Butler, who's also another one of the top prospects.
Georgia Tech commit, I believe.
I think Raji Dennis is the Georgia Tech commit too.
You got a couple of them.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's been hitting New Orleans pretty hard.
Don't overcomplicate it.
That's smart. That's smart.
Don't overcomplicate it. Go
smart.
to the best team in Louisiana, get their guys.
Right, and then also like LSU, it's kind of vice versa. LSU just hit Georgia pretty hard. Georgia Tech's been hitting New Orleans pretty hard. So I think those two coaches, Brian Kelly, and then I forgot the Georgia Tech's head coach. I forgot his name, but they're doing a great job recruiting. They know where to hit the recruits. But going back to Carr, Trey Brown, Trey Brown, Levi Dansborg, and Aiden Hall, who's one of the top prospects, 2026. They make up probably one of the best DB groups in the state, and probably might be the best DB group in New Orleans. All three of those guys are D1 prospects. And so. Lots of stake in this game. Even though it may not be a district title, Carr's already wrapped up their district title, but
the record's the big headline.
Right, Carr's trying to get the #1 seed for Division I select. Curtis, obviously JT's not going to make a big deal of it. He said he's not going to make a big deal of it. Everyone else's, his players, his two sons who are on the staff, are going to make a huge deal of it because it is their dad, and they have every right to. And that's a pretty big accomplishment. 622 wins is absolutely insane.
It is.
And I wanted to pick Curtis. I really do because of what's going on.
Yeah, the stars aligning.
The stars aligning is a big time game.
Big time game.
But I'm going to have to go with Carr. I think Carr's playing really hot. I think they're maybe a little bit more talented team than Curtis right now. I'm not betting against John Curtis, but I kind of am. But then again, you can't really bet against JT. I think that's the whole line. Every time you down him, he's gonna make something happen, and the other team's gonna win. But I think this is gonna be one of the best games of the year. I think both teams are gonna go at each other. I think it's gonna be one of the best coached games of the year. I think both sides are really good coaching staffs. Obviously, JT with Curtis, 27, 28 state championships. It's a lot. And then on the other side of Carr, Bryce Brown has 4 state championships, and I think he just turned 40. He's 41. He's a very young coach, and he's had a lot of success at Carr, and also bringing them into the Catholic League.
Right.
So, what do you hope to see out? I will be at this game, but I'm really excited about this game. This is a game I've marked down for a while. This game is going to be played at West Chef. It's a Moore Chef Stadium. But what are you looking for in this matchup, and who do you think is going to win and why?
Yeah, if it was really pretty much anybody else, Grant, I would probably go with JT and John Curtis because I don't want to go against them. But at the same time, you can't go against Endicott either because they're a team that has not disappointed you at all. So I just think that JT and his players going to be playing really hard for him. Because they're going to want so bad to get that record. But the good thing is John Curtis is in the playoffs. They're going to eventually get that record in the playoffs. But for this week, I'm going to go with Endicott. I just think they're the most dominant team all year. I think it's just too many. We got Jimmys and Joes, right, and the cars. So I think the talent, I think it's just a little bit too overwhelming. I think we'll put it all together. I think at this time of the year, they're going to figure out. I think they're going to have that game where everything comes together. So I'm going to go with that in the car and then just locking them up for a #1 seed in the playoffs.
Now, because we picked Carr, I think they're going to win.
Curtis
is going to win. Curtis is going to win now.
Yeah, JT is going to prove us wrong and show us why he's the greatest high school football coach of all time.
I think JT. Well, I'm not sure how well JT knows how to use his iPhone, whatever he has. I'm pretty sure Johnny and Jeff are going to literally screen record this podcast, and they're going to share it all over Twitter, and we're going to look like
these two idiots.
We're going to look like two dummies.
Look at these two
standing in front of computers with a helmet from like the 2003 or whatever. I'm not sure how old this helmet is.
Idea.
But But this is a great game. I'm looking forward to going back home to New Orleans and covering this game. But moving on to the next game, game that is also another huge game, probably the biggest game out of the Lafayette area this year.
Oh, yeah.
By far. Lafayette Christian
It
versus...
seems like you have that in each area. You got Curtis, Carr, you got Catholic Zachary, and Lafayette.
Lafayette Christian had St. Thomas More. This is probably the biggest... This probably turned into like a John Curtis Carr game every year, and ever since LCA St. Thomas More have been in the same district. Lafayette Christian, they're led by Juwan Johnson.
Yeah.
He's doing his usual ridiculous stuff. I don't have to explain everything. Just watch his highlight tape, look at his stats. You'll see why. I mean, you can see why he's one of the most exciting probably one of the most exciting players that's ever come out of Louisiana, period.
Yeah.
He's probably top 10, top 5.
And I think he's almost with the record, I think, by most touchdowns in the Louisiana high school career. So I know he's up there and has a chance to get that too. Or it was either most yardage or most touchdowns.
Yeah.
But.
And STM is also led by one of the, Sam Allman, who's also a very good quarterback in his own right. Hutch Swilly at running back. They also have a pretty good
Strother at receiver.
Yep, Lane Strother. Yep. I mean, they got some really good players, man. On both teams, and this is also a rematch of that crazy game last year. Like I think there was I think both teams. I think it was over 100 points combined for that state championship game last year.
1,000 yards. Jawan had
like 600 yards.
He had a single game state championship record and lost.
Yeah, and they lost. Yeah, it's insane. And I think the thing was LCA was up by 2 touchdowns. St. Thomas More scored real quick, kicked an onside kick. Very next play, Sam Allman finds I forgot the guy who caught the touchdown.
Yeah, he was a wide receiver last year.
Yeah, as a senior.
That went to. He was a really good football player.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get that name before it's all.
Please get the name before we move on to the next game. But he threw it right to him, touchdown. The game was over, and LC had one more chance to go down the field and score. They failed, but it ended up being one of the greatest state championship games in the history of Louisiana.
As far as covering games are concerned, I think that was the best high school game.
I don't think any game is going to. No games are going to top that for a while. But going into this game, I think
Christian McNeese.
No, that was the one before. That was the one before. Christian McNeese, Army commit. Yeah, he went to doing good.
That was the guy I was thinking.
I'm friends with his older brother too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's another. Who was the other one?
Was it Connor Stelly?
It was Stelly. Yep, it's Connor Stelly. Yep, that's who it was. We want to make sure he got his name because I don't know why I forgot his name because he did a lot of good things in that game too.
There's a lot of names to keep track of.
Right, there's a lot. I know. Yeah, it's a lot. It's tough, man. It's tough. But I think the thing about this game, I think it would determine if St. Thomas More could contain Juwan Johnson. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a huge thing in this game. I think STM's kind of sputtered as of late. I think LCA has really rebounded since their loss against Ruston, where Juwan threw 5 interceptions. Yeah. I mean, they completely shut him down. I think that is probably by far the best defensive performance all year. Because the fact that they made him look like just
pedestrian,
look like an average Joe was pretty incredible. That says a lot about Russ's defensive coaching staff as well as their defense.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna pick LCA to win this game. I think LCA is hot right now. I think they're still mad about that game from last year. I think they're out for revenge. Melvin Hill's on the defensive line. You already know he's going to be eating. So I think if LCA just keeps scoring, I think they'll be fine. But they need to stop STM's offense as well. That Cougar offense is pretty scary. As long as Jim Hightower's there, their offense is going to be scary.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, let's just say Sam Allman gets hurt. Mm-hmm. Their backup is just as good as he is. If not, maybe some because I've heard that he may, his skills, they're elite. And the Bergeron kid, he's a very good player too. So that just says a lot about the coaching staff that they continue to develop quarterbacks. Lose Walker Howard, Sam Allman comes in, wins the state championship, and then and then the next guy that's coming in will be in that conversation too. He might lead them to another state championship. So these are 2 really well coached staffs. However, the one thing I'll say about LCA is that Coach Landry is his first year as a coach. He's going up against a coach who's coached for over 40 years. Mm-hmm. I think if there's something to look out for, watch out for the matchup between the coaches because you're going to see the experience difference between these 2 coaches. I think that'll be huge in this matchup. So what do you think about this game? Who you think is going to win and why?
Well, I know you mentioned about St. Thomas More. I think it's one of those things where if you were born a Cougars fan and you're in the cradle, like they're teaching you your drop back before you even walk. So it's one of those things that St. Thomas More, they just groom quarterbacks year in and year out. You just know no matter who's in the system, St. Thomas More is going to be putting up yards and plenty of points. But there's going to be a lot for this game, too. I know we talk about over-under for the Holy Cross game. Just smash the over when you got St. Thomas More and LCA playing against each other. But I agree with you here, too, because I like LCA. I saw them play against a really good Sterling Catholic team and just demolished them. And that was with a team you saw coming in with just, hunger in their eyes. They really wanted this. And I can't imagine how much they really want this game against St. Thomas More, considering what happened last year. You're pretty much about a minute and 30 seconds away from winning a state championship and just let it slip through your fingers. So I know that Coach Landry doesn't have to do much as far as getting motivation to these guys.
Right.
He doesn't have to do anything, really.
Right.
So this team is going to be very motivated. You don't have to tell them anything. They know what's at stake. And I like Juwan Johnson. This will be another game that cements himself as just a Louisiana high school football legend.
Right.
And I think him having a big-time performance, that is going to really help him. I'm going to go with LCA to win this football game.
And if Coach Landry is feeling the same way that his players are. Because remember, he was the offensive coordinator for that for LCA the last few years. He was on, he was on the sidelines when all that stuff happened.
Yeah,
you just feel some type of way too. So I expect a very hungry. We both expect a very hungry LCA team to come out and defeat St. Thomas More. Moving on to our next game, another district title game, but this time between two undefeateds. I think this is the first game we mentioned between two undefeateds, actually.
Yeah, because
LCA lost early, like we said, they lost because Rusted. So this is the first time on this slate that we have two undefeated teams. Newman, they're led by a red-hot offense. Eli Friend, a quarterback. He's been fantastic all year long. Jake Randall.
It's his brother.
That's his brother, Jake Randall.
Will Randall is
okay, cool. I was making sure I didn't get him mixed up. But Jake Randall is that running back. He's a pretty solid player. And then Will Lorizell is a fantastic tight end. And, there's Peter Loop, who's back as well. He's a very fantastic receiver. And then also on defense, you have DJ Thomas, who's a very talented defensive back as well. Very talented Newman team. And like we both said, I think this is probably the best Newman team that we've seen.
I agree. Ever since I've started covering high school football, it's the best.
And then the thing is, Newman gets slandered as, they're these preppy kids. They're not that tough, yada, yada, yada. This team's tough now.
Oh yeah,
and I think and that's needed, especially when you're going up against a very tough St. Charles Catholic team who's always been tough, always gritty, always physical, ready to smack you in the mouth. And they're led by quarterback. Even though they lost their quarterback from last year, Brady St. Pierre's come and done a very good job. Their running back Jeremiah Wills, he's a very fantastic back as well. And both sides of the line are very physical, and they have a really good linebacking core. So I expect a lot of physicality out of this game. But the thing is, I expect Newman to win. Yeah. I think this is usually in the past I've always said St. Charles Catholic because
it's always been a bad matchup.
Right, it's just always been a bad matchup for Newman. I think this is the first time where they actually match up. Scheme wise and with the players that they have. I expect Eli Friend to have a really huge game. I expect Newman to finish the season 10-0. I think for the first time ever.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe for the first time ever. I could be wrong. Yeah. Coach Stewart will probably watch this. He will probably correct us. But so we need to figure that out. But I think it might be.
Yeah,
and you'll be surprised with the amount of talents come out of Newman with the Manning brothers Odell Beckham Jr. and then obviously Arch.
Right.
You expect them to win at least one. They have never won a state championship. I think this might be the year where they finally break through.
Yeah.
So Chase, what do you have to say about this talented Newman team? What do you expect out of St. Charles Catholic? Who do you think is going to win and why?
So my prediction for this game, I saw Newman play, and that was before the regular season. I saw him in the Jamboree when I got a chance to see him, and when I saw him, I said this is the best Newman football team that I've seen and covered. And the reason why is because, like you said, with them being physical, this is the most physical team I've seen Newman have. And you got Beau Bordelon, clearing things away. Brett Bordelon.
Bordelon. I forgot to mention his name too. Son of Ben Bordelon.
Yeah, that's right. Brett Bordelon clearing things, clearing the path. And you talk about Lil Roselle, Eli Friend. He's just a throwback, just physical quarterback. He's going to do whatever it takes to win.
Yep.
It's like a high school version of Tim Tebow. It seems like, but
pretty good comparison.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a really tough guy, tough quarterback. He's just a winner. And I think with that matches up with St. Charles Catholic really well, and it matches their style. So with that being said, I think there's finally when they're going to overcome that hurdle and defeat St. Charles Catholic. I think they're going to be able to overcome that finally. I really like Newman to win this football game and kind of take a monkey off of Coach Nelson Stewart's back as well.
And I'm not down. And by the way, we're not doubting the Comets whatsoever.
No.
Coach Stein's a fantastic coach. They've always been a very well coached team. Not only by Coach Stein, but also Coach Monica before him.
Yep.
Yeah, they're a fantastic football team, fantastic program. I think it's going to be a very tight match. I think Newman's going to win, say, around the area of 21-17. It's going to be a very tough, physical football game. One of the best games, could probably be one of the best games of the year. And then whoever wins this game, I think maybe the favorite to win Division 3 Select.
Yeah.
Because you also have Cavalry, and I think Cavalry's still the best team in Division 3 Select right now.
Yeah.
But this game, U-High. I mean, there's a lot of great teams, but I think whoever wins this game, I think a lot of people are going to circle and go to the Dome.
Yeah,
and for good reason.
Give you a good telling of where each team is at this point in the season. So that's obviously going to be a big game, and it's going to be interesting because I can't really go against Coach Stein because all he's done since he's been here as a head coach was win state championships, not only in football but in baseball too. So
that's right.
He's won a couple state championships in baseball. So this is a guy that just knows how to win championships. So but that's going to be a really entertaining football game.
But also, who wins this game determines the home field advantage because they're both number 2, number 3 in the Division 3 Select.
Yeah, this is huge for a lot of reasons.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
And they're going to. And by the way, they're going to see each other in the playoffs again. I could bet money on that.
Yeah, there's a real high percentage chance. They'll see each other again.
And moving on to our next illustrious game, between two illustrious. Yeah, I love saying that word. But Ruston and West Monroe, two of the top programs in Louisiana State history. West Monroe has won, I believe like 11 or 12 state championships.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to correct myself. Yeah, Coach Showles.
We had that run.
Oh yeah, and then also under Coach Arledge, they had some success as well. But then you also have West Monroe, who has won I think they've won about 8, 9 state championships as well. So you got two of the top programs in Louisiana history going against each other. And
a lot of people to this day still tell me that 1990 Ruston state championship team is the best high school football team they've ever seen. So both two programs with a lot of history between each other.
Yeah, exactly. And West Monroe, they are led by their quarterback. I'm trying to pull
Hayden Federico.
Hayden Federico. Yep. So, it's on that side. Yeah, Hayden Federico. Sorry, guys. And then also they have a really talented receiver in David Moore. Yeah. Who's also a very good return specialist for them as well. And West Monroe had to deal with some adversity at the beginning.
Yeah.
Remember the whole thing with Todd
Garvin.
Todd Garvin. Yep. And then with the all the players were they're passing on the field, heat exposure, and it was a mess.
Yeah, it was a big thing.
And then they had that really tough loss to Zachary. I mean and that was a bad loss. I think that shocked a lot of people. Not only how well Zachary played against West Monroe, but then also how bad West Monroe looked. But they've really rebounded well, and they play in a tough district, and they beat everybody they've faced. Now they're going against a very tough Ruston team, who a lot of people are picking to win the state championship this year.
Yeah.
They were the run-ups last year. They're the number 1 seed last year as well. They have the top defense in the state. And also, I know they have on defense they have Ahmad Burrow and Gordon Guidry and Jaden Mayfield and Nate Johnson. But on offense, they have some talent as well. Josh Brantley has been one of the better quarterbacks in the state.
A lot of upside with this kid.
Yeah, a lot of upside. Very very talented kid. He just wins ball games for the team. And then you also have Logan Malone, who's a very solid receiver in his own right. And then freshman Ahmad Hudson, who's gone viral all over Twitter with his ridiculous catches. And he also picked up an offer from LSU, which is rare for freshmen to pick up offers from as a freshman from LSU. But yeah,
it's gonna be a special one.
But yeah, what do you see out of this game? Between two of these great programs historically. Who do you think is going to win, and then why?
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game here as well. This game is not going to be for the faint of heart. It's going to be like a 21-17, a 24-21, that type of football game, just because there's really good defense on both sides. And I'm going to go with Ruston. I just feel like defense wins championships. Now, last year's Ruston team was really good, but I'm going to go. I think this team's even better. And like this team, I have this team going to a state championship. I think 2 years ago I had them going to a state championship. I was a year too early on them. But really, this Ruston football team is a really good football team, and that's because they have the best defense in the state. I would say it, and they cemented themselves as the best defense in the state. What they were able to do against LCA and Jawan Johnson. So with all those guys, they're really good at all three phases, all three really groups on defense, up front, the linebacker, and the secondary. I really like Ruston to win this football game.
By the way, I just want a correction. I was right about Ruston winning 8 state championships, but West Monroe's also won 8 state championships as well. Mm-hmm. So if Ruston wins this year, they surpass West Monroe.
How about that?
or vice versa.
Yeah.
If West Monroe wins a state championship, they pass Ruston.
Yeah.
Ruston has not won a state championship actually since 1990. Mm-hmm. They've been runner-ups, and they were obviously runner-ups from last year. But the last time before last year, the last time they were in the state championship at the Dome was 1998. It's been a while. It's been a while since you've seen this type of state title contending consistency out of Ruston. And I'm like you said, I'm picking Ruston.
Yeah.
I think they have the better defense. Although I think this game will be close. I think West Monroe is going to play a tough game against them. West Monroe. It's West Monroe. Yeah. They're West Monroe. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna make this game close. Hayden Federico is a very experienced quarterback. This is his third year starting. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pick Ruston just because their defense is incredible. I think this is the best defense we have seen since 2019 Rummel.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that's a fair comparison.
I think
as great as that Rummel defense is, it's hard to compare those type of defenses. But this defense is uber talented. I mean, it's insane how talented this Ruston team is, but I think Ruston's going to win along the lines of 14-10. It's going to be a very defensive battle. And I think I'm really excited about this game. I can't wait to see what comes out of this game. It is by far probably the best game in North Louisiana.
Oh, in North Louisiana, for sure.
And for good reason. But yeah, moving on to our next game, another big time game between EDY and St. James in the River Parishes.
Oh yeah, that's another game that we'll be covering.
Like the last game between Ruston and West Monroe, this is a district title game.
Yeah.
But this time it's outright.
Yeah.
EDY's coming in with a 9-0 record. They are led by the quarterbacks Jake Sternfels. They run a triple option. Triple option was like a wing tee.
Yeah, like wing tee.
Yeah.
Now they do throw the ball a little bit more just because they have a stud wide receiver. Paxton LaFont.
Paxton LaFont. Yeah, and then also Jake Didrich.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
He's a very good fullback / running back for the offense. I think he was the offensive MVP last year, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Dietrich.
Jeffrey Dietrich.
That's right.
I
want to correct myself there. Jeffrey Dietrich. Very fantastic running back. And then also they have a great defense as well. Don't sleep on their defense. They got some talent in defense as well. And Kyle Lassane. That's right. Kyle Lassane.
Yeah.
Kyle Lassane has done a fantastic job with that program. I mean, they've been state titles for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, at ED White, you've never really seen that type of consistency out of ED White. But they've been a very consistent program, and they're going to make a push for a state title this year. 2 years ago, they were runner-ups. Last year, they fell short to not LCA, St. Thomas More in the semifinals. I was actually there for that game. I was training for WGNL. For ED White, actually, but then also in St. James, they got a lot of talent. Braden Williams has been one of the top quarterbacks in the state.
He just went over 5,000 total yards.
5,000 total yards. Yep. Kobe Brown is one of the sleepers or diamond in the roughs of the state. You also have linebacker Adrian Preon, another linebacker in DeAndre Vido, defensive back Quan Ackland, and they also have a pretty big up front. Offensive line, defensive line. Jarmaine Mitchell, who's 6'8", over 300 pounds. Juice Williams is 6'2", 300 pounds. They got a lot of big linemen on that line, big physical line. And they also have Trey Williams on the defensive line as well. Mm-hmm. This is a big-time game out of the River Parishes. Yeah. We will be there. One of us will. I think it's going to be Nick will be. Nick's going
to be covering that game.
Nick will be covering the games, yeah. And so, that'd be a huge game in the River Parishes. But the thing, I would pick ED White. ED White's a very good team, but I'm gonna go with St. James.
Okay.
I think they're a little bit bigger and a little bit quicker than ED White. I expect them to hand ED White its first loss of the year. I think I wouldn't be shocked if either team won. These are two really well coached teams, two great programs. I expect this, to be a relative. I won't say high scoring game, but I think 35-28 St. James. Going to be one of the best games of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about this game? About E.D. White and St. James? Who do you think is going to win this game and why?
Well, I know we've been agreeing with each other a whole lot on the show, and I think only one time we actually disagree with each other. This is going to be the second. I like E.D. White to win this football game. I know Tyler, he was actually covering a couple games for us earlier this year, and he told me he was just very impressed with E.D. White, just how fundamentally sound they are, how well coached they are, and I talked to Coach Lassane a couple years ago. Actually 2 years ago. And we're having this conversation, and he told me, I asked Coach, y'all been to the semifinals, y'all went to the state championship game, y'all been having an incredible run. And I was like, yeah, but this is not good enough. We want to be in a state championship every year. We want to play for a state championship every year. So him saying that is telling me that, okay, they're hungry. This is a hungry football team, and this is a team that can beat you in many different ways. If they have to throw the football, they can. With Paxton LaFont, and he reminds me so much. He's like a Jack Besh a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He's a guy nobody's really talking about. Very talented receiver, and I like St. James too. It would not surprise me either way. Saw both these two teams this year. Saw St. James against Newman, and Newman Jamboree. They're playing De La Salle. And I saw E.D. White against Zachary.
Yeah.
So they tell me that they did a false scrimmage against Zachary. Shows you that they mean business and they're not afraid of anybody. So with that mindset and really the mission they're on this year and the type of season they're on this year, I'm going to go with the E.D. White Cardinals to get the win.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think, there's no wrong answer for this game. These are two great teams and with fantastic coaching staffs. And talent all across the board, in my opinion. But yeah, moving on to our next game is another game between two stalwart programs, Sterlington and Waspin.
Oh yeah,
two 3A schools, a very big matchup up in the Monroe area. We previously covered another Monroe matchup between Russ. Well, Russ is outside Monroe, but that game's gonna be played in Monroe, and they're not that far apart. And then you also have Sterlington and Waspin, who are both in the Monroe area. But this game is going to be between two physical teams. Obviously, Sterlington, you have Tremont Coven, a running back. You got Devin Downs as well, who's a very fantastic runner as a freshman.
Sure.
And then also, Mitch Hodnett is one of the top lineman prospects in the state, committed to TCU. And they're going against a Waspin team that might be the number one defense in the state at any level. They've only allowed 7 points per game. The highest total they've allowed was in a loss. I think it was 21.
Yeah.
So besides the 21-point game, they've only allowed 5 points a game.
I think they gave up 21 points twice. So that's 42 points of the 50 they're giving up.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that just says a lot about the turnaround that's going on in Waspin right now.
Yeah,
I think Waspin was 4-6, 3-7 last year.
As far as most improved teams, and just teams that just came out of nowhere and nobody really expected, Waspin's been that team this year. As far as teams that just you didn't expect this to really happen, but. They got a tough one. It was tough last week because they lost to UM Parish 55-12 last year, and to overcome that and beat them this year, that was a very incredible sign by their program on their first year head football coach, Terrence Kahi. So, it's gonna be another telling sign where this program is because. You're going to have to play a beast coming up.
So they've won as many games as they've lost games last year. They're currently 7-2 right now. Coach Kahi has done a fantastic job with this program. But the thing is, I think this type of game plays to Sterlington's strengths. I think I'm going to go pick Sterlington just because I think that they've been in these type of games for a longer period of time than Waspin has. I think Sterlington because Sterlington is a physical team, they also have a very fantastic defense as well. I think that displays an advantage because I think they'll do enough to win this game.
Yeah.
I think Waspin can win this game if their offense can show up and produce. Because if your offense doesn't show up and produce, that actually benefits Sterlington, despite how good your defense has been all year. But I'm going to pick Sterlington and Coach Doty over the Waspin Wildcats. But but I think this will be another fantastic game, another great defensive matchup. Jace, do you kind of disagree with some of my sentiments? What do you hope to see out of this game? Who do you think is going to win and why?
So basically, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I think Sterlington's just a more veteran team. They know how to be in games like this, how to approach games like this, and they can be in low-scoring games too. They can play ball control. They play good defense. They want to smash you in the mouth. I mean, I've said this time and time again when I've seen Sterlington play. So there's going to be a team that's going to be able to do just that. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Sterlington. They showed me a lot going on the road too. A long drive to go to Amy and make that drive. So they are in playoff mode right now, and I can't go against them. So give me the Panthers to win that football game.
Yeah, and that's another big time matchup in Monroe. Keep your eyes on that one.
Oh yeah,
that's another big time game. There's a lot of big time games. So just keep up what's going on this weekend. Because this is insane. This is what you call insanity.
Oh yeah.
But moving on to our next game, we go back down to South Louisiana. This time in the Southwest Louisiana, in the Acadiana area, you have Opelousas Catholic at St. Edmund.
Yep.
We're very familiar with St. Edmund. Obviously, Coach Shiver's a good friend of Gridiron Football. He's helped us a lot with camps and the bowl game. Yeah, and then also congrats to him. Yeah. He's became the head coach of the new arena team in Lake Charles. I think the Lake Charles Voodoo.
Yeah, Lake Charles Voodoo.
Yep.
So shout out Coach Shiver, and we'll probably get some coverage about that ceremony when it comes up the press conference and all that.
Yeah,
so.
And then also Opelousas Catholics is a very talented team in their own right. They have a very fantastic first-year coach in Cullen Mathern. They're currently first place in their district, and if they win, they actually clinch the outright title with the victory.
Right.
But if St. Edmund wins, it's a three-way tie. But I think it was St. Edmund, Opelousas Catholic, and then Catholic Point compete if they win their game.
Right.
But I think they may be done with district play. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we'll double check that.
That's what Shiver told me in the interviews, that it would be a three-way tie if they win.
Right, and also St. Edmund, they also have one of the best running backs in the state, in Kevon Johnson, who's only a sophomore.
Yeah. Already the school's all-time leading rusher.
Yeah, as a sophomore, that's insane. And one of the things about that, he could have ran for over 300 yards last week if he didn't get ejected. What are you doing, Kevon? Keep your head in the game, Kevon.
Well, I gotta say, it was a chippy game, and really, you can tell. It was kind of building up and up with both teams. It was something.
Jace, why don't you go out there in the field and fight? Go out there. Yeah, protect your boy Kevon.
Yeah.
We want him to we want him to break the all-time state rushing record.
But the good thing about that is, Grant, he had 230 yards rushing by that point.
True. We want him to have 300. He wants 300. Everyone wants 300.
So but it was just a chippy game, and it happens. But I'm not sure or not. The thing is how it's going to affect the next game. That's the biggest question. Because I know at that point, St. Edmund was pretty much in control when that happened. So that was going to really affect the outcome. But the question is, I still haven't gotten an update yet from Coach Shiver. He's going to give me an update when he gets a chance. But they're still debating if he's going to be able to play because of that against Opelousas Catholic. So that's going to be the biggest thing, is what the ruling is on Kevon, if he's going to be able to play that game or not.
Right, and I think that's a big loss that they don't have him. I mean, he's been so important to their success, not only this year, but last year as well. And that's going to be a huge loss for the Blue Jays if they don't have him. And also, Opelousas Catholic, they have a great quarterback in Mark Collins.
Yeah, committed to the Racing Cajuns
for baseball. So he's a hell of an athlete, and I think if Kevon Johnson's out, that's going to play in the Vikings' favor. And the Vikings got some talented players as well. I mean, obviously you heard about Keon Coleman.
Right.
He actually went to Opelousas Catholic, fun fact. And they have some talent out there, man. Don't sleep on those schools.
Yeah, Opelousas areas.
Opelousas, Eunice. I mean, they got some great players out there. Don't sleep on some of those players.
Yeah.
But I think I'm gonna pick Opelousas Catholic. I think Opelousas Catholic's playing some great football all year round. I think Mark Collins is going to be a little bit too much for the Blue Jays. Also, there's a lot of uncertainty in whether or not Kevon Johnson is going to play.
Right.
So we still don't know what's going on there. We don't know what the penalty is going to be. We're not sure if he's going to sit out the first half or the whole game. There's so much uncertainty, but I'm going to have to pick the Vikings in this one. Jace, is there anything, who do you think is going to win and why? And then also, what do you hope to see out of this game between these two 1As? Very good programs out of Class 1A.
I'm gonna be really quick because I think our batteries run low on the camera, so we're gonna be really quick. Give me Opelousas Catholic to win this football game. I think no matter what the situation is, I think the way their offense has been clicking all year, give me the Vikings to win.
And then also our last game we're gonna have to cover because the batteries running low. Damn it, Jason, why didn't we'll charge the battery? But let's go ahead. Haynesville. And I'm joking with them. It's not a big deal. We had a long show. It's about an hour.
Yeah.
I think we reached over an hour. But we also have Haynesville and Homer, two very good 1A programs. Haynesville is what the winningest program in Louisiana history was last year. And then you also have Homer, who's had a lot of success the last 2 years. They won state in 2021, and they were state rounds in 2022. What do you hope to see out of this game? Who do you think is going to win, and why?
Yeah, with that game.
Also, district title game as well.
District title game. Give me Homer. I think Homer's just got more athletes in this football game. I really like Haynesville. I really like Coach David Franklin, what they're doing. But give me the Homer Pelicans to win this football game. The last year's what they've been doing with Coach Casey's been really good.
Yeah, I'm going to have, I may have to agree with you. I think Haynesville is a very well-coached team. Got a lot of talent. I think they're going to make it far in the playoffs once again. Maybe even be in the Dome. Yeah. But I think I'm a big homer. They got too much athletes. I think they also have a very great coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think the Pelicans are going to win. It's going to be a very tight game. I think the Homers they're going to win the district title. I think both teams may see each other in the playoffs again. So this won't be the last. I don't think this will be the last time you see these two teams play. But yeah, glad you guys watched the show. Keep supporting us. If there's any coaches out there, and send us your players' information if you think they're. Think they need to get extra looks for colleges. Me and Jason's DMs are open.
Yeah.
Also, you can hit up the Gridiron. Also, DM the Gridiron football account as well. We have some great big things happening in Gridiron football, including this podcast and Chase with Jays and the football huddle with some of our interns that they do. But yeah, thanks for joining us again with Protect the Boot. We'll see you sometime this. I think we'll see you. We'll see each other. We'll see them. They'll see us this weekend.
Yeah.
We have a lot of playoff coverage happening Monday. We're gonna have a very special guest with us. Can't really give out too many secrets, but we'll let you know very soon on Twitter. Thanks for joining us, and always remember, protect the boot.
Protect the boot. Boot up, boys.
Sir.